Hey you, it's true. Should you summon for Water Cinderella? The answer is pretty straightforward. If you run a sleep team, then yes, absolutely yes. Go for that Fully Awakening on her. She may very well end up keeping your enemies perpetually asleep, and together with other strong sleep units on your team, many of them will never wake up before their death. Now, one thing that is also interesting to combine with her is to have an executor unit with her, like Musashi or Dark Cinderella. That way you can mitigate the little kink in the sleep skill set that we have right now, which is that it is lacking any execute skills, and Water Cinderella is no exception on that. However, that's not really a problem if you keep your enemies perpetually asleep. For example, with the unending nightmare skill, which always resets the sleep to 200 time units again. Now, while her rather limited healing keeps her safe from Musashi's absolute zero, her lack of a full healing ability might be her downfall against some other executors if they don't fall asleep first. Her charges, or her hold grounds, are resetting rather easily though, and so any other units will be struggling a lot to kill her off. Stunning her is another way to deal with her, or actually executing her before she even gets her first turn. I managed to do that with my Cleopatra sometimes, so I reckon a P1 with Water Cinderella might actually be a bit hard to pull off in servers where a Storm King Arthur Cleopatra meta has already been established. Nevertheless, if you run sleep, of course, get Water Cinderella. If you run stealth, then there's also an argument that can be made, and also, for example, Angel Gene can help her to actually regain more HP than just from her passive skill side. Also, I think the combination with Kaguya is quite interesting. Other than that, other stealth units might wake up sleeping targets, which is not so ideal for Water Cinderella, but can still be a nice and interesting combo, I think. Now, other than that, it gets a little more complex. Water Cinderella is certainly a bit more niche, I think, than her predecessors, Light Cinderella and Dark Cinderella. Could run in most, if not all teams. Water Cinderella, you definitely want to keep away from a burn team, especially if you run Gilgamesh, because it completely disables her. Combination with poison units is also not that great, given that its normal sleep poison will override it potentially. The combination with stun can be okay, although stunning units that are asleep isn't particularly helpful in many cases. Now, if you are a whale, you should fully awaken her anyways. She is certainly top 20 material, especially in something like Platoon 2. And she comes with a nice fellowship together with Percival, so that might also be a reason for some of you to consider getting her, although Percival and Water Cinderella together do not mesh very well, I think. On the other hand, if you are under 28,000 soulstones, you shouldn't pull even if you want to build a sleep team. Always make sure that you can achieve all possible 30k fountains. Now, one of the good things compared to the prior sleep stealth unit Kaguya is that even at one copy, Water Cinderella might already give you a very good value. Maybe not in terms of dishing out damage, but in dishing out sleep to your opponents. So if you run sleep and cannot afford to fully awaken her, even one copy is already giving you a good value for money, or rather soulstones. And even if you do not main sleep, like as a P1 or even as a P2, then I think you could consider getting Water Cinderella at one copy and then just putting them together with some other somewhat sleepy units in the Platoon 4 even, for example, to get some decent value, and then maybe put in some Angel Gene as well for some late looping shenanigans and stealth boosting, Knockout Storm might not end up knocking out any opponents at low power, but other than that, a lot of her skill set is not really locked behind higher power levels. The waves of sleep are laughably easy to unlock, and other than that particular skill, which forces 2 enemies to sleep, she's actually quite spirit positive, even if she doesn't manage to put enemies to low HP, given that Stealth Blast, Knockout Storm and Unending Nightmare, if she attacks a sleeping target, are actually quite spirit positive. The AI is actually quite smart in how it uses the Unending Nightmare to first hit everybody, and she gets more turns immediately after that. It's not perfect, and that is kind of a good thing, I think, in that she doesn't attack the sleeping targets straight away, then use Knockout Storm and then attack sleeping targets again, all of the enemies, if they are exposed. So yeah, a lot to like about this Water Cinderella, and in my tier poll on the channel, 64% of over 500 voters think she will go to SSS tier, the highest tier in my database tier list. I personally think she might end up only in SS tier just because she's a little more niche and the P1 potential is a bit limited after the Storm King Arthur release in July, which generally speaking I would say is still a stronger unit, except in a sleep team of course. But yeah, all that isn't to take away from the huge potential that Water Cinderella has to dominate a battle when she really pops off, like the one that you are watching right now. That's it for now. Leave a like if you found this helpful and want the summon or skip format to continue. Did you or will you summon Water Cinderella? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more upcoming Evertale content. Enjoy the rest of the battle, and as always, thanks for watching.
Let's